Yo, what's good, summoners? I'm getting a lot of questions about how to use the AI system, so here's like a quick video on how to use your AI system. Basically, the AI system is the auto system, but it's better because it allows you to control your units like using their equips on certain waves, certain stages, if the boss has a certain condition, if you want to time your like arts with an equip or something. Basically, you can play when it like you're not at your phone or not at your PC. If you're worried about not getting it saved, that's fine because when you have your equips here, you can actually click save and save your AI settings with your equips. Also, if you beat a quest, you can click past parties here and all your AI and equips will be saved as well. So there's no need to worry about losing it. All you have to do is just like actually fix it up first, and then it'll get saved on the quest stage. Okay, so now that we're actually here, when you start making an I would recommend starting with a default AI setting, whether it's like you want him to only use arts, true arts, you want him to rotate it, if you want whatever GS would recommend. Usually, if they have like a special setting or like a mode, the instinct would include that. But since Gray has nothing here, you would just choose something like arts only. And now you can see it automatically builds the default including everything. But here's where the conditions actually come into play, right? Let's say I want him to use both, right? As you can see here, it says odd and even. That means every time he uses an arts or a true arts, it turns from even to odd and vice versa. So that means every time it'll rotate these two, right? And that's what the conditions are. These little boxes, these are conditions. All right, now to get to the actual conditions. So this up here is usually meant for healing, or it depends if your unit is using something like the grief clause where it takes away HP and you want to like keep him at a decent HP. So you could like, let's say you're using grief, right? And you don't want him to drop below, I don't know, 20%, right? So 20% or more. So that means, let's pretend this is like an equip or something. That means he'll use this equip when he's above 20% HP. So if you're using grief, you won't use grief clause when you're below 20% HP. Or it could be a heal equip, and when you're selecting, when you're selecting this, you would select like any unit. So when any unit is below 20% HP, you would end up healing and using that item. As for the arcade, it's pretty simple. You actually don't even need this unless you're trying to like time an equip or something. Let's say right, your setting looks like this. He would still use this equip because there's no conditions. He would just use it whenever he can. So whenever he has time, he can actually use this. The skill CT, pretty simple here too. Whenever his skill CT's up, he'll use whatever you're asking. Usually it's only, I would only ever use this with like a skill here, because this just like, it depends on what your skill does, but most unit skills doesn't really matter. So the skill CT is a kind of useless condition. I don't really use it. Same thing with the equip. You can actually use the, you can use the equips here without it, but there is a timing effect here. Like let's say you're using an equip with a 10-second cooldown and you're nuking. You're using that equip, let's say, at the beginning of the round, right? And you get to the boss at like 6 seconds. You could say when this equip is at like 60%, right? To use another equip. So you would use another equip when, let's say, I don't know, my third unit's equip is at 60%. Then that was the one that went off first. And then this is the one that'll go off 6 seconds later. There's a lot of timing like this. You just have to like mess around and get gimmicky. It's a pretty cool way of nuking, but that you have to get very down to like the very like second. Otherwise, your AI is gonna be like really messed up. Sometimes you might not even get it correctly. This here, boss break, pretty simple too. Let's say you're like, you know, in a really long fight, like something like Regulus, and you're trying to break him down, right? And you're running something like True Knight's Glow, which does a lot of break power, and you're trying to use True Knight's Glow to nuke his bar, right? So let's say you get him down to 30%, and True Knight's Glow can do that entire 30%. You would use True Knight's Glow when it's at like 30 or 30 or less. right? And then that means when True Knight's Glow is available and he's below 30%, they'll use it, and it'll just get rid of that bar. There is a break status here too, so whenever the boss is in break, you know, like you could do like use True Arts when boss is in break, or you could be like use True Arts when boss is not in break. A lot of these have opposite conditions, so like something like this, you could use it in or not. You know, it's also really flexible. This is the one that I probably use the most. This controls the waves, which is very, very nice because you can actually be very accurate with this. So let's say I want to use his equip, you know, at like round like 5 or something, right? I could do like 5 or higher. So whenever I hit 5 or higher, he'll use that equip. Or let's say I'm using a very like quick CT equip and it's a very long fight. You know, I want to use it 5 waves or less. It's pretty simple here too. These here are pretty unique. It gets harder later on because something like this has to be used with like correct timing, you know. So let's say I think, let me actually pull up Chobe, because Chobe is a good example of the AI system with that. Okay, so this might look really like complicated, but it kind of is. Okay, so as you can see here, I have the super art 0 or less, right? So basically, he'll keep rotating these 3 when super art has been used 0 times, which is, well, at the beginning. So he doesn't use super art yet, right? But when the boss gets to about 30%, I use super arts. And then, since it's been used once or more, I no longer rotate these 3 up here, and I only use super arts from there on. So it's pretty clean there. Let's go back to, yep, so these, you just want to time those. Now these arts, even and odd things, these are also pretty good to use. These are for like rotational stuff. If you want to rotate like a true arts, an arts, a super arts, back and forth. There's stuff like all arts where you can rotate all 3. There's stuff like arts and true arts here. And then you have stuff like even and odd for regular arts. These are all changeable, by the way, so these are all really good. I wouldn't recommend using these 3 though if you're trying to rotate. Using something like the arts and the true arts and the all arts would be better. And even something like the mode, something like this is meant for like Shiro, where you have to like rotate all 3 consistently. So basically, this starts from 0, 1, and 2. So let's say you're trying to use Unlimited Blade Works first, right? He'll use Unlimited Blade Works, and then if you want to use his True Arts second, he'll True Arts, and then let's say you want to use Normal Arts, he'll use Normal Arts here. Now, as for the status ailments, this one's pretty basic. You select whichever one, you know, wants the status ailment, basically. It could be like, let's say you're using it for a cleanse, right? You could say when any unit has a status ailment, right? And then they'll use the cleanse equip. Or like Rimuru, he'll use his normal arts to heal the status. Or you could say like when the 3rd unit is blinded, if you're facing, you know, a stage that does blind and you have only 1 unit that like normally gets blinded. Or let's say like the boss, right? If you need to poison or burn the boss or something, you would click when boss is burning, use True Arts, and then it'll use the True Arts. As for these, these are much more annoying to use because these are very stage dependent, right? If you're using something like the unit, which if the unit is fire, right, there's no point in putting this onto like a unit because this would be only for like the enemies or the boss. Like let's say you're fighting Regulus, right? And Regulus is dark. So you want this to go on Regulus' stage, and then you want something else to go on like Fina's stage. That would make sense. But if you're using it for your unit's just one type. This is basically just gonna be like no condition. As for it's for the same for here. Like let's say you're fighting Delia and Regulus. Delia's a god and Regulus is a demon. So you'd be able to adjust on that too. As for the time, this is very, very specific. This I rarely ever use. If I do use it, it's more like someone like Jay or Miyu with like time conditional stuff. But even still, you'd have to be very specific, because if you like get hit by like a stun or like a feint or something, if you get frozen, your entire AI is just messed up. It's impossible to come back from. So you could touch the time stuff, but I wouldn't recommend it. As for the morphos, this is also stage dependent. A lot of stages don't have multiple enemies, but let's say you're fighting something like I don't know. If you're fighting the plant monster, right? That when you enter the final stage, it backs out and it brings out more mobs. If you have something like this where it's like, oh, use when there's only one foe, then it will actually save your true arts and save your equips until you clear the mobs and the boss jumps back in. So that's also pretty cool here. And then if you're cresting, you can also get limited crest drops, like the attacks or the HP conditions. So like, for example, right, Palamecia has a lot of stages, and there's one of the attacks that actually drains your arts. I'm not sure which one it is, but let's say, like, I don't know, it's arts 2 or something, right? When she hits you with arts 2, you lose like 100 arts, right? So let's say you have a condition where she hits you with this, and then you throw an axis on like War God Fen, so he gets 100 arts back, and you can nuke again. So it's pretty cool like that. If you have something like the bird iframes, right, you wanna make sure your arts isn't going off, you could do something like that. Or when the green dragon's digging underground, if you can't nuke him quick enough, you know, he goes underground, you can make sure your arts is not being used at the beginning. During Delia, like end nuke, you can make sure that you're using defense equips. For example, you're using heart, right, and you have like a blessed necklace and you have a tree X gate. Let's say we're gonna throw that onto Gray, right? What equips, or no, what kind of AI should we be using, right? So heart, obviously, he does true arts only. Let's say we want to use Vertrag on the last wave, right? So when you come here, you're looking at action. This is what he wants to do, right? You're gonna click it, and you see how it says self here. You can change that to any unit. I wouldn't select random, right? But let's say, okay, so Gray's in the first slot, right? So we use equip. This is equip 2. We use equip 2 on Gray, so it'll throw EX gate on Gray, and let's say we want to throw blessed on him as well, right? There we go. And we're gonna turn off his skill because nobody likes the skill. Okay. And then I don't know. Let's just add War God Fen in here just to guarantee to kill, right? So War God Fen, right? Equips all AOE equips. That's fine. Right. Let's just let's say we wanted to rotate true arts and super arts, right? So it says odd. So you start at 0. So 0 is even. So he'll true arts first, and then he'll super arts on odd, right? But I want him to save this for the last wave. So the thing is, he'll use true arts, and then he'll wait for super arts. But since super arts is last wave only, he'll never come back to true arts. So he'll true arts once, and then super arts last wave. And let's say we don't kill or something dumb happens, then he'll rotate back to true arts. Now let's throw this also on last wave. And then for the skill, right? For someone like War God Fen, who his skill is important, I would put it to when not on last wave. So the only time he uses his skill is when not on last wave. That way, when it's last wave and we're fighting the boss, his super arts goes off instantly because he doesn't activate the skill. So the thing is, when a unit is doing something, doing an action, they can't do another action. So let's say he does his skill, you have to wait for his skill animation to play through before he can do another action. And it does work in top to bottom priority. So let's say you have the equip layout here, right? If I put equip 3 on top of equip 2, he's going to use equip 3 first, right? But then it comes down to the conditions again. Because if you have, let's say you have super arts and equip 1 on last wave, it comes down to the other conditions and it comes down on the positioning. If he doesn't have 200 arts here, right, and he doesn't, and he hasn't used true arts at all, it's gonna use the equip first. All right, let's see how well this goes. Heart should give EX Gate and Bless to Gray. Yep. Wargod Fenn's using skill, but the other two aren't. Yep. Wargod Fenn True Arts. Yep. Because it's on top of the skill, it has priority over it. And Wargod Fenn is just saving super arts now. And then here he shouldn't use his skill and should use super arts only. Also, if you're wondering on the order of arts activation, it's the third slot, the first slot, the second, and then the fourth, I believe. Because it's the position of the way that people are standing here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I have about AI. If you have any more questions, you can leave a comment below. You can join the Discord and ask any one of us there. We probably know a good amount, and I hope you learned some. Thanks for watching.